So let's get right into it. Let's not bore the people, shall we? So, uh, like I said before, we went to St. Bonaventure University. So, originally you didn't study acting, right?
Never, never, nothing. No school plays, nothing.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
So how did you? So what did you study? Because I know you said you quit you decided to quit your desk job and pursue acting a year ago. So what did you study, and how did you come to that realization that acting was your passion?
Sure. Well, believe it or not, I got a degree in accounting. I even got I stayed a semester after, got my MBA. Uh, Basically went into the workforce in the accounting industry, and it didn't take me more than a few months to realize, like, just the sitting at a desk thing, looking at a computer screen for 8 hours, like it just it wasn't worth it for me. It wasn't something I saw myself really, continuing doing. So, that was a point in my life where I was just like, I feel like I have to do something I actually care about to want to get out of bed in the morning and go, do it every day. And so I started thinking about things that I've always cared about. I've always been passionate about. Movies, as far as I can remember, had always, interested me. I've always been like a movie guy. I've always been fascinated by movies. They've always really, like, certain movies really just hit home for me, and
Right.
I'm sure you could relate to that feeling. It's just certain movies kind of changed your perspective or moved you in a certain way, and that always like held weight for me. So when I thought about it, like, secretly in college, I kind of thought, like, kicked around the idea of becoming an actor, but in my own head, of course, you've got the negative part that's saying, how are you ever going to do that? How does one even become an actor? I
Right.
should have sat down and talked to you, if anything. But to be honest with you, I was just too afraid to step out of my comfort zone, especially with something as extreme as acting is. So and I was just pretty shy to begin with. But um, yeah, no. So when I was working that desk job, I basically started taking acting classes at night once a week, and it was very, very scary, very intimidating, as I'm sure when you
Right.
probably
Right.
started doing that stuff. But yeah, I mean, I loved it. I loved it. I loved I left class buzzing with like a huge adrenaline rush, and I was all in. I was all in after that. And yeah, that's basically kind of what got the ball rolling.
Yeah, right there, right there, right there. Yes! Woo!
One of the things we was talking about off camera, and I mentioned this, was, for me, on campus, St. Bonaventure, everybody knew I was an actor because, I did all the school plays, I was studying theater. And even before then, I've been doing acting for almost 10 years now. And it's weird because, a lot of people that study acting that I went to school with really aren't doing it anymore, besides like one or two people. And then you see someone like you who's doing a complete different major, something that's very lucrative in terms of financial security, job security, and then you switched over to acting. So for a lot of people who want to do acting, who had that desk job, what is some advice you would give them?
I would just say, I mean, going off my experience, like, dude, I couldn't do it. I just physically could not do it. So for me, it was like that was the only other option. I just I couldn't stand going to work every day. I'll
Right.
be honest with you. And so it really pushed me to the edge where it's like I need to figure something out. Um, but yeah, I would just say, don't, if you've got something that you want to try, don't be afraid to try it. Life is short. You might as well, you know,
Right.
you find that you really love it like I did, and you can continue in some capacity with it, whether you want to go all in or whether you want to just do it as a hobby. But Yeah, that's what I would say. If you want to try something, do it. What's the use in not, you know?
Right. And I want to say, because I know it's different for everybody, but, as, young guys, it's easy for us to kind of, pick up and leave. For me, I moved to California because I got so comfortable in New York City that I said, for me, if I stay here, I'm going to get a little complacent. I'm not going to push myself because I'm always going to be home. And like you said, it's leaving that comfort zone. It's so easy to get wrapped up in the comfort. And one of the things I wanted to talk to you about was, you moved to New York City because you didn't live in New York City before. You lived in New York State, right? If I'm not
Correct.
mistaken.
Yep. Yep.
So how was that transition from, leaving your hometown to New York City? Because I can tell you, and I'm sure you know this already, New York City is a complete different beast.
Sure.
And it's home to theater and stuff. But how was that transition for you?
Uh, so I mean, even before I knew I wanted to be an actor, I knew I always kind of wanted to live in New York City for however long. So it's been great, man. I'm really enjoying getting to, you know, just getting to know the city basically. With quarantine and with COVID, I've had a little more time to warm up to it than I normally would. So that's been cool. Like I'm kind of appreciative of that. Um, but so yeah, the transition for me hasn't been too bad because I've even before I moved here, I've been here a number of times, and I kind of knew what to expect going in. But there's still been, there's always surprises. There's always stuff that changes up on you. I mean, it's the city, you know how it is. So,
Right.
but I can't lie. It's been pretty smooth sailing. But I gotta say, I kind of knew what I was getting myself into, um, before I
Right.
moved. Yeah,
And that's important because I one of the things I've talked about in my early episodes, because I really haven't done a lot of acting stuff on this podcast specifically, but one things I talked about is if you want to be an actor, you have to do classes, you have to get experience, because the difference is, there's a lot of actors, everybody's an actor, but a lot of people don't get the education, they don't study, they don't go out and get and do the work and get their hands dirty, which is very important. And so, for you, because I know you took in classes and you have an agent now, um, how is that process for you, being in the classroom and learning? Because from experience, especially at the level I am now, I've been through it all. You get into class, you're very nervous. When it's time, your time to get on camera, you shake up, you freeze up. It's very intimidating. But how did you learn to cope with that and to translate that into becoming the actor you are now?
yeah, man. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm still coping with it. Anytime I do anything acting related, I can't help but get nervous. But I found that the more I do it, the more I throw myself into the fire.
Uh huh.
The easier it gets. Just like with anything else, you got to face your fears. That's the biggest thing. I'm glad you brought up stepping out of your comfort zone. It's a similar thing. The more you step out of your comfort zone, the more you face your fears, the better equipped you are to handle those in the future. So I've just found, like, the more I throw myself out there, the more, as uncomfortable as it is, and as much as I don't want to do some of the crazy shit they make you do, like,
Yeah, yeah.
sometimes you just got to do it though. When you've got a job, it's your job. When you've got a job to do, you do it. But yeah, it can be tough. It can be a tough pill to swallow sometimes. But I've found that the more you do it, the better off you are, the easier it gets. But it takes time for sure.
Yo, so let me ask you something, because I got in a conversation with someone at Bonaventure when we was there about this. There's a misconception about acting that is the easiest job in the world, that anybody can pick up and do it. And as someone, because I had this conversation with someone who was in the business, realm of life.
Sure.
Do you think it's as easy as people make it seem like? Do you find it very challenging? And because memorizing lines is one thing, but to memorize lines, study the script, understanding character and the relationships, and then doing the scene and knowing these terms, you're like, make sure you hit your mark. What is stage left, stage right?
Mm.
Um, do you find it hard?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, bro. For sure, for sure. There's no doubt. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it. You know what I mean? Like, there's no doubt it's hard work. You have to really understand people and be able to analyze people. I mean, you could. I mean, once you get your character, there's so many questions to be asked. There's so much, you know, soul searching and deep diving into what you think that a character's about, and you have to think about what they want, what they want from the other person, what they're hiding maybe. I just like what's crazy to me is like playing a role where you know you want you kind of want to mask your intentions, but you want to mask your character's intentions, but um yeah, no, you mask their intentions. You
100%. Yeah.
you're thinking about what they're thinking on the inside, but you're still not showing it. Like, that shit is hard, man. That's hard work. Like, you really got to take your time and really analyze the character, and analyze, basically connect with that character in a way that is believable. So yeah, no, I think it's very hard work, man. It's very hard work. I mean, you could still call me a beginner, uh, but I mean, I've been working really hard to just try and get caught up to speed. You know what I mean? It's hard work for sure.
100%. And even someone like me, I've been doing it for years, and there's always something to learn. And I was watching a video with Leonardo DiCaprio, and he was talking about that. Like, it's always a journey that you have to constantly learn, because people think, from Chris Hemsworth to Denzel Washington, that it just comes easy, and it's not. It's a lot of hard work, preparation that comes with it, and like you said, believable. Some people think that playing a homeless man is easy, but when you make it believable for the camera, when people go to the movie theaters and watch it, they want to see you be that person. They don't want to see you acting homeless, because it
Sure,
takes away from the realization of, yeah, it's a movie, but I want to see a real character. You know what I'm saying? I want to see some guy pretending to shiver. I want to see him actually cold.
sure.
Um, uh, so one thing I want to ask you: what is one misconception about acting that you thought of before that now you realize is very true? You know,
Yeah, I know what you mean. That's a good question because I feel like I've had about a million of them, but probably forgot about a lot of them just because I'm deeper into it now. But let me think. I mean, like the very base. So, just acting as a concept, like you're, you kind of, I don't know. I wasn't totally sure how one goes about acting. Did they base it off of past experiences and connect that way, or did they just are they just really good at pretending? You know what I mean? Or like,
right,
for if so, I mean, for instance, in real life, I'm not a very emotional person. I don't, I'm pretty even keeled, pretty, stay at one level, So I always thought about, what if I had to cry on set, on camera? How would I go about doing that? Is there like some magic trick that the director uses? Does he give you like fake tears or something? I mean, I'm that could be the case too, but like I just learned that you have to take yourself to, you know, probably a very dark place or whatever the hell it makes you cry, but you have to take yourself there. And I didn't know that about acting before I got into it. You really have to find yourself in your character, or in certain scenarios that the character plays. You have to be able to find yourself, which I think is awesome.
so for you, as you transition into doing this full time and stuff like that,
Mhm.
how has that journey been for you? Because one of the biggest issues that a lot of actors face is finding the balance of being able to pay the bills and do your craft. It's a hard thing to do. So for you, how has that been? How that journey been for you?
It's been It's been fairly smooth, fairly smooth sailing. There's been a few bumps in the road, but it's definitely so I mean, right now, um right now since I moved to New York, I haven't been working, so it's been nice to collect the unemployment and all that.
Hell yeah.
I'll ride the unemployment express. But it's been a godsend, man. Like I wouldn't be here without it. So I mean that's been good, and it's allowed me plenty of time to work on my craft and get better. And I'm doing some sort of acting thing for a few hours a day, 5 days a week. So it's allowing me the time to get stuff done. So thankfully, they're obviously not an ideal scenario, especially for someone like me who's kind of just starting out. But it could be worse. So I'm thankful for that. And but yeah, no, there will come a time where I'll have to put my waiting skills to the test and probably do something like that, just jobs, whatever I can find to pay the bills. But the main goal is that I have something that's flexible enough to allow me the time to focus on acting.
Right. And I want to touch on that because it's something that is very important. It's something that a lot of people struggle with, especially when you first start out, because, and I'm going to touch on the agent thing because I know you have one too. When I moved to California, one of the biggest issues I was facing was how can I find a job that's flexible and allow me to continue? Because, if your agent sends you an audition for Netflix, you going to go. I mean, for some people, it's a matter of how I'm gonna pay bills next in a couple weeks. But when your agent sends you an audition, you have to make it. Um, and if you don't, then you risk getting dropped. And one of the things I want to tell you or people who are listening and want that advice, it would be put your career first. I know acting is hard and it's a struggle. Rejection is part of life. Um, but you have to make your career first because I found that a lot of actors from California to New York, the biggest issue they face is um, putting their career first. They'd rather go to work than go to the audition because they're in fear of not having enough money to pay their rent or pay the credit card bills, and that's is what's most important. When I moved here, right now, even before the pandemic, for me, my job was secondary. If I have an audition, I'm going because I didn't move here to work, and I I put that first. If tomorrow let's say I pick up a job and my agent says, "Hey, you have an audition at 2 o'clock." Well, I guess I'm going to work late because it's a mental challenge to do that. And I understand
Mm.
bills need to be paid, but save. I want to tell you right now, save your
Yeah.
money because a lot of people, spending money on clothes and cars, which is fine. I get that. But if you don't have that safety net where you can, not go to work and still be fine, that's a big difference. And for a
Mm.
lot of people, they don't have that safety net. So that's just one advice I give you is just find a job that understands
Yeah.
your situation. But any final words, anything that you want to get off your chest, where the people can find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram. Yeah, I'm trying to post a little more on that. They tell me that that's the new wave. So I'm
Hmm.
trying to get better with it. I've never been a big social media guy, but here I am trying to put myself out there a little more. But yeah, my handle's at Paul Maurizio. Um, let's see. I think that's about it. Just thanks for having me, brother. I appreciate it. It's been great. Great catching up with you, man.
And also, you can find me on social media at Mr. No Days Off Percy. And you can support this podcast by going to anchor.fm/the Prince of Fresh Air. You can send voice messages. You can donate $1,000, $10,000. I don't discriminate. And like I always say, a helping hand is a better hand. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Percy.